Hi, and welcome to Fekete Fantasies. You're probably wondering what this is all about. This new YouTube channel, Fekete Fantasies, what does that even mean? Well, my name is Antoinette Fekete, so Fekete is my last name. And this YouTube channel, well, the truth is I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be about either. I'm kind of figuring that out. But I called it Fekete Fantasies because what I imagine this is going to be about, other than being a vlog following some of the things that I'm up to, is a collection of my flights of fantasy, and that could include my memories, that could include the things I think about, the things I ponder, the things I muse about, and yeah, I'm gonna be writing some things, reading them. Sometimes you'll see me, sometimes you won't, and I will take you along my journey. A big part of my journey is also that I'm working on becoming a narrator, an audio narrator. So for example, if you know the website ACX, it's where there are all the projects for Amazon and Audible. I'm working right now on auditioning for different ACX projects. Over the last few months I've been like putting together a home studio, getting together some equipment, and now I've finally come to the stage where I'm sending auditions for projects. And that will be part of the vlog. I will be showing you around my home studio, and I will tell you the stories about how it came together, how it came to be, and then you'll get to find out whether I get any gigs on acx.com and if I try out any other websites. So to really commemorate this first post on my first YouTube channel, I wanted to talk to you about something that we don't talk a whole lot about, and that is poo. You know, we talk about having a good hair day, which I guess it's really up to your opinion whether I'm having a good hair day or not. I don't really have that many good hair days these days, especially since it's wintertime, but besides the point. We talk about having a good hair day, but we never really say, wow, I'm having a great poo day. And that's really too bad, because when you have a great poo, and I don't mean just a good poo. I mean, good poos, they come and go, you know. Maybe some people have more than others, some people have much fewer than others. But I mean like a great poo. I don't know about you, but in my experience, it doesn't come around so often. And I had a great poo this morning. What can I tell you? And I thought to myself, I have to do something about this. So I wrote a little text that I'm going to read to you, and this is what I decided to use to really open up this new chapter of my life. I think that a great poo deserves that kind of respect and that kind of recognition. So I'm gonna just read to you what I've written here, and this is the kind of thing that you can expect to hear from me as I continue along on this YouTube journey, and as you continue joining me or following me on this YouTube journey. So with no more further ado, here we go. I had a marvelous poo this morning. You know the kind. It slips out effortlessly and falls into the toilet bowl as softly and as gracefully as an Olympic swimmer enters the pool. It leaves nary a trace on the toilet paper, ghost poo, and yet a great sense of relief in the body. Those poops are to die for. This is my second most memorable poo. The first one occurred when I was 10 years old. My parents and I were on a random road trip that my father spontaneously decided to initiate when school teachers went on strike in St. John's, Newfoundland in April 1994. Since my father was a university professor and my mother was a stay-at-home mom, there was no reason to suffer the lack of spring that St. John's tends to enjoy between the months of March and June. So we hit the road for greener pastures, literally. We had a general idea of what spots on the North American continent we wanted to hit, Disney World, but for the most part we were just making it up as we went along, staying at Motel 6s along the way for a mere $6 a night, imagine. Halfway through our 2.5-month jaunt, we took a break from our Motel 6 marathon, however, and instead crashed at the house of some fellow Hungarian acquaintances. My parents hadn't really ever known them and might have met them once 10 years before, but my father had their contact information in safekeeping, just in case he needed a place to crash in Texas one fine day. Well, the time had come, and a stopover in Amarillo was in order. It wasn't a really romantic town. to be fair, I grew up with dramatic vistas of ravenous waves crashing upon the jagged shorelines of Newfoundland, eating away little by little at the island, which is otherwise known as the Rock. So driving into Amarillo, flat, gray, smoggy, at first glance was uninteresting to me at best and confusing at worst. We were warmly welcomed, however, and the house where we stayed was alluring and evocative. It was decorated in deep oranges, purples, and reds, and featured smooth, glazed surfaces and textured, earthy fabrics. I particularly loved their bead curtains. They were proper bead curtains, okay? Not the kind that have too much space between each thread of beads, leaving them hanging dead, limp, and useless. These ones hung heavy with purpose. You could barely see through to the other side, and they clattered easily at the slightest swirl of air. This inspired me to practice my inner Cleopatra by repeating tempestuous entrances and exits while furiously flinging the beads out of my way. The swish and clatter of the heavy beads added great drama to the moment and made me feel powerful and alive. The house must have afforded us all a great deal of privacy, since I spent a lot of time exploring on my own, playing at Cleopatra, and flipping through a book on Kama Sutra that I found on a shelf, the likes of which I'd never come across in my life up until that point. I would have been too shy to play act as Cleopatra and look at Kama Sutra paintings in the presence of adults, so they must have been a safe distance away. The Hungarian couple also had a young girl who was physically and mentally disabled. I think she had a rare disease of which she passed away about a year later. She couldn't speak properly and needed constant care and attention, but she loved the movie Grease, which worked out well as I loved, and still love, musicals. So we watched it together at least a couple of times. She laughed most of the way through and got particularly excited whenever the characters started to make out. So it was in this Texan hideaway that I, for some reason, had the most memorable poo of my life, the first and most, except for this morning. Pretty close. I can't remember quite what it was about the poo itself that was so memorable, but I do recall the post-poo feeling as liberatory. It was as if this poo had worked itself through my guts and entire bowel system and carried out any unnecessary or lingering gunk that had accumulated over the course of my 10 years of life, and I was left feeling utterly clean, fresh, and spacious. It was glorious, and I immediately recognized it as such. I also understood that this had introduced itself as a core memory that I would never forget. I didn't think I'd end up writing about it one day, though, but here we are. I just wish I remembered what I had eaten the night before, because I think I stuffed my face, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, fast forward a couple of decades and some years later, and I am graced once again by a visitation of the feces fairy, or shit sprite, excrement enchantress. Take your pick. Either that or the cabbage queen, because I did eat a lot of cabbage these past few days. But anyway, I don't want to discount the divine nature of this visit. A really good shit isn't something to take lightly. So to honor this special moment, I have decided that this particular shit shall be celebrated by the launch of my social media career. YouTube, blogs, Instagram, here I come. It's about time we did this. It's about time we did this. So, thank you for listening. If you want to hear more stories, more Fekete fantasies, then yeah, stay tuned and see what's coming up next. Next, I'll probably talk to you a little bit about my ACX project, becoming a narrator, and I'll show you my studio, and I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm up to, what I'm doing. Yeah, whatever. You'll see. Okay, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again. Cheerio! Cheerio!